Go for it.
Aloha snack bar, everyone. It's the one, the only, the majestic ape coming to you on another edition of V and CJ in the morning, where we cover the news, the information, and the subject matter that matters. With that being said, check us out on Twitter at the Rogue Money. Follow us on Facebook at Rogue Money, and check out, most importantly, the fastest growing financial news site on planet Earth in this dimension or any other dimension, which is roguemoney.net. And with that being said, also, guys, if you are suffering from debt, you have collections agencies calling to kidnap your firstborn child and hold them as ransom. If you are afraid that the bankers might steal your dog, you need to check out myfreedomnow.us and get relief from your credit card debt, bankruptcies, foreclosures, whatever the heck you've been through or whatever it is that you've gone through or going through. Myfreedomnow.us will fix you up right quick. With that being said, CJ, what is going on, my brother? CJ's on mute because he's setting up the Facebook live stream.
I'm doing great. How you doing this morning? I looked up and the darn thing was muted still.
Of course. What else would it be, man?
Hey, at least I'm consistent, V.
Man, you are consistent with that mute button, bro. I do give you props for that. That is consistency, man.
You know, I'm doing great. V. I had a great night's sleep. I'm pumped up. It's hump day. I am ready.
We got 3 shows today, bro.
Three shows today. I am just ready for a dynamic day to go out there, make it happen, take no prisoners.
Absolutely. Let's get it crack-a-lacking, baby. What's the first thing on the menu over here?
Well, thinking of the prisoners and talking about them in terms of some of the things that we've seen regarding Guantanamo and what happens after these career criminals are released. Another perfect example is a recent bombing where a former Gitmo detainee ends his life as an ISIS bomber and there in Iraq. So again, you know, these characters continue to show up and to continuously do these things, and it's good timing here where you have an administration that's talking about, hey, you know what, we're not going to close Guantanamo. We're going to take some of these terrorists and bring them in and you know treat them as and prosecute them under the military, which is what should be done.
Yeah, absolutely correct. The funny thing is with this terrorist, just to show you how dumb these terrorists are, they have no concept of anything. They're just a bunch of idiots, mentally sick. Number one. Number two, how backward these people are with their ridiculous, absolutely asinine version and interpretation of Islam. And how virulent it is. This guy was actually paid 1 million euros. Okay, he was paid 1 million euros as an apology, saying we're sorry for detaining you, this, that, and the other. Here's $1 million. Have a nice day. Instead of going to Cannes, instead of going to an island like Tora Bora or Bali or whatever. What does this crackhead do, CJ? He goes back to Iraq. He goes back to Iraq and blows himself up.
What a quality of life.
Jeez, man, at least give me your $1 million before you have done that, please. Jeez.
Exactly,
please.
Right? Yeah.
And speaking of 1 million euros paid out to the EU seems to have no problem paying out a terrorist 1 million euros, but now they're utilizing currency controls to fight terrorism, CJ. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, so there's a reason why they bring in these events. There's a reason why they have these terrorist acts that happen, and we saw a little bit with most recent things that have occurred where they start to say, well, we really need to start thinking about where these terrorists are receiving their funding, where it's coming from, and it all sets up the precursor for going in and putting these controls. Not only are they looking at monitoring bank accounts as people are coming into the country, but we also want to know regarding their Bitcoin and their currency and any prepaid cards that are happening. Now I'm all about fighting terrorism, but when you openly allow these people to come into the country and then you start putting in these controls, that's where it becomes a little bit suspicious.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And that's the whole entire thing. This has nothing to do with controlling terrorism. They have no interest. These are the people who, look, I mean, after all, wait a minute. They want to fight terrorism. But didn't Angela Merkel say that there's no terrorism?
She did.
Didn't the Pope, who happens to be in Vatican, is also an EU person that lives within the EU. Didn't he say that there's no such thing as terrorism?
Well, the stupidity that occurs, look at India, for example, where they want to crack down on large denominations supposedly to fight the counterfeiting, right?
Right.
So they do that. They make everyone bring their currency back in, and then they print bills that have over 9 errors on it that would be easily,
Counterfeitable.
yeah, counterfeitable. So what does
Ah,
it make sense? So the European Commission wants to tighten its controls over paper money, metals such as gold and silver, and other precious elements that are being transferred into the European Union. In other words, they want to bring it into the banking finance section of it. They want it under their control. So again, they use these things as a reason, just like India, just like we're seeing in the EU now. In the U.S., there's been that's been proposed before. They said, well, yeah, we need to get rid of the 100 because it's being counterfeited. All these things that they always use, and again, they bring the terrorist activities in themselves, and then they place these things out there. They use terrorism as a reason to do these things, which is just completely not
1,000%.
the reason they're doing it. Just crazy.
1,000%. And if history's any indicator of anything, guys, here's the deal. I've always said this: as a nation goes broke, as it falls apart economically, its security apparatus goes from looking for enemies from without, and that security apparatus turns to within. Okay, it turns inward for looking for enemies from within. These are capital controls. Make no mistake, this is where when they collapse, when the EU goes pop, they want to make sure they can pilfer and suck every last bit of wealth out of the population before the EU is no more in existence. And that's exactly where the EU is headed. They're done, bro.
Yeah, I mean the writing's on the wall, and you even start to see where now the IMF is, the dollars are not there to bring in to fund all this debt.
Yeah, the
You're actually
international
seeing,
MFers.
yeah, so now you're seeing a little bit of pivot where they're saying, well, they're leaning a little bit towards China, say, well, what can you do to help? Well, China's just not going to give them the money. There's going to be something attached to it.
They're not stupid. They're not like us. What do you think? They're a country run by idiots?
No. So let's see. You went through $500 billion the last quarter and last, and so what do you want? You want more money to keep doing the same things over and over? Isn't that the definition of insanity?
Correct. Absolutely. And speaking of insanity and capital controls, it seems like somebody's going to be probed and in a financially non-anally way.
Yeah, so you see now where finally, this has taken so long where George Soros Yorgi is going to be he peddles into elections around the world, around the globe, but in particular with the EU. So now we're seeing where there's actually going to be coming forth some Republican lawmakers or Washington are starting to really ask some serious questions as to where the U.S. tax dollars are being used to fund Soros and his projects that he does, which is basically regime change, infiltration. Almost could be labeled as more just as I don't want to say war criminal, but more the decisive things that he does to split our government. And that he's funded a lot of these organizations that go out there. They raise heck. They go through and they try to manipulate elections. They block polling stations. They go out there. They lodge these fake voter campaigns. And so I'm glad that they're finally starting to take a look at his actions and what he's doing.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, Christopher Smith, Republican from New Jersey, no less, the armpit of the USA. No. I'm sorry to all the Jerseys. I love Jersey, but you know how New Yorkers view New Jersey. We think your only purpose is to take out our trash and to provide us with cheap gas. But other than that, I do love Jersey. It's a great place. Love Jersey. Love Jersey. No hate there. But anyway, yeah. Why is the New York Giants playing in Jersey? I've always thought. Oh, anyway, that's another topic. Anyway, this is what he says. He says it seems that the U.S. government-funded organizations have taken sides, specifically the sides of socialists, which is absolutely unacceptable. I think it's illegal that we examine this case to the full extent. We need to have a detailed oversight into what the administration has done over the past 8 years, because we've been taking sides politically in other countries as well, and there have been other similar incidents. That undermines U.S. public diplomacy and our diplomacy in general. It is against the law, and it is unheard of. Absolutely correct. I mean, CJ, we've been saying it for so long that they need to go after Georgi Shorts. Okay, Georgi needs to stop.
Yeah, everything he does to undermine undermine the federal government. It's amazing that he's been able to. Well, no, it's not amazing he does, because he largely funds Democratic efforts. He funded a couple of Republican legislatures as well, just to be fair, in the federal government. So again, this guy's a crook. I think that Russia has issued a warrant for his arrest, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's time for the United States to do the same thing,
Yeah,
to crack down on the Open Society Foundation.
Right, the Open Society Terrorist Foundation, which Viktor Orban from the Prime Minister of Hungary, he's doing the same thing. He's cracking down on the NGOs that are from Soros, man. It's got to go. Georgi's got to go. And speaking of Russia, man, they're coming out swinging, bro.
Yeah, they are. So, here we have, Mike Pence that goes over to the EU, and, touting the traditional neocon line, traditional Washington line. We don't know what truth is. And I really don't take anything at face value, anything more that as far as what they're saying, because I think they send a lot of false signals, that mind game of, the art of the deal and negotiating. So basically Mike Pence is over there stating that, look, we want to ensure, the EU, we want to assure NATO that the United States is fully going to be, backing you in terms of the efforts. We're going to hold Russia accountable. So what happens is, he's giving this speech, and then Lavrov, one of Russia's foreign dignitaries, gets up there and says, you know what? The end of the U.S.-led world order is done.
Absolutely,
it's done. We are changing the line, quote unquote, aiming to calm your European fears. This is what Mike Pence did. Told world leaders Saturday that the United States will stand firm against Moscow and also seeking avenues of cooperation. And Lavrov, at the time when West called the shots are over and dismissing NATO as a relic of the Cold War, he added, quote unquote, I hope that the world will choose a democratic world order, a post-West one, in which each country is defined by its sovereignty. Lavrov said Moscow wanted to build relations with Washington, which would pragmatic and mutual respect, acknowledgement of a responsibility for global stability. So he just let him have it. He said, listen, the days of the U.S.-led world order are over.
Yeah, 1,000%, man. And it's done. And Russia and China are on the bullet train to that path. Here's the thing, man. You people that are listening to my voice, you don't realize how irrelevant we are on the world stage right now. You really don't know. I mean, all this crap is going on in the deep state. It's all they're doing is doing their stupid little. It's like right now. It's like the Russians are this jacked, ginormous, muscular, powerful warrior, and the deep state is right now basically like this punk kid with Tyrannosaurus Rex type arms, trying to swing away. I mean, case in point, last night, what happened? Last night, Israel out of nowhere attacked when ISIS is in trouble. Here comes Israel to attack, and I want to say Israel. I would say the deep state in operation in Israel attacked a Syrian army outpost that's near the borders of Lebanon. I mean, how convenient! Like I don't even think Bibi even knew what was happening. Okay, because I know for a fact that Putin has Bibi on a short leash. Okay. So this is what's happening. We're seeing proxy wars. It is total war in the deep state between the two factions. It's total war and total confusion, man. It is hard to. It's getting crazy, CJ. But irrespective, the reality of dude, when this market goes pop, when the punch bowl is taken away, and this massive economic correction comes. And I'm hoping that this is why it's so imperative that Trump has the infrastructure projects, the manufacturing projects in place. If he doesn't get these things up off the ground and running, when this market is pulled, we are effed on a royally high level. That's what I need people to understand. I'm very happy with Trump coming into the presidency. I was happy. I was joyous. I was elated. He needs to establish these factories. He needs to get America humming again. If he doesn't get this country humming again, and then this market goes to that massive correction, it won't be a correction. At that point, it will be a crash, and that's the point that I'm worried about. So we all need to support and pray that this thing happens and happens rapidly. But that being said, we are still winning for now, CJ.
Yeah, we're still winning, and the fact that there's a lot to manage. In DC, think of the number of years that it took to get to where we are today.
Oh my God!
it didn't happen overnight. So he's been in a little over a month. Some of the things that he has done, I've been, very worried about. However, at the same time, I always continue going back to the argument when I hear somebody say, well, Trump's not promising, he's not doing this. I'm like, so would you rather have Hillary in office right now? So is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
That you'd rather have up there? Because it would be dramatically different. It'd be a lot different.
It'd be a nightmare. I'd be sitting here, we're doing the morning show, and an SA-18 Sarmat nuke ballistic missile will be landing on top of us, and that's the end of us, basically.
Yeah, and the good news is you are starting to see a little bit more information regarding, gold and what we need to do right now to start preserving our wealth as individuals, and looking at our bank accounts and our dollars that are in these financial institutions that potentially could come back and harm us. So there's a great article by GoldSeek.
Yep,
and
Stuart Thompson wrote this one. It's pretty good. It's like 24 points, I think.
Yeah, it maps out 24 points of things that are happening or have happened leading up to and seeing the fact that the gold standard in terms of how monetary is going to be backed. Not only, if the U.S. doesn't do it, China, Russia, somebody else is going to, and then we'll be chasing it. Even, not that I give him a whole lot of credibility, but even Alan Greenspan has came out to state that, hey, back in 2008, Ron Paul was probably right. We probably at that point really should have looked at trying to move more towards a gold standard, a gold-backed dollar versus just all the quantitative easing that we did for several years and just really undermined the dollar and our currency. And most Americans don't understand that, V.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's what people need to understand. And when we talk about a gold standard, we're referring specifically to, because there were several gold standards. Actually, the recent one that all the libtards and the Keynesians refer to as the 1924 gold standard. We're not referring to that. What we're referring to is the classical gold standard from 1870 to 1912, which was the greatest time of economic growth and development in human history that has never, ever been seen since. That's how awesome it is. And when Keynes himself was a defender of that gold standard, and when he called gold a barbarous relic, he was not, I repeat, he was not referring to the classical gold standard, but the 1924 standard that Winston Churchill was proposing that the UK get itself on. That's what he was referring to. But yeah, it's a great article. I mean, one of the things he says that our wage pressures are substantial. So far, corporations have not passed on the wage inflation in consumers in a way. He's basically talking about there is such an inflationary trend here globally, and with the demand that gold is going to moonshot. And speaking of gold, it just came out on Bloomberg, CJ. What did the Fed admit, bro?
Yeah, so obviously the Fed comes out and admits that gold has been, manipulated, and the Fed continues.
No. No.
Yeah, over and over. So, again, this is, when people say, well, gold traditionally, the price and everything, people have to understand that the dollar in terms of its purchasing power and, what could happen in the event. And gold has always been that safeguard. And people always wonder, well, why has the price, we haven't seen it? Well, that's because it's been manipulated. There's been so many push downs on gold. And now finally, the American news media is picking up to say, well, yeah, the Fed's been manipulating gold prices.
Yep, exactly. Absolutely correct. And now they admit it. Now, it's that has, and again, man, this kind of chicanery continues so far until the game is over, where China says, okay, we're done. We're ready to roll out the new system. And Russia's ready to roll out the new system. People are like, well, China doesn't have the liquidity in its market to do. Yes, they do. Yeah, they do. Already there's an arbitrage between the COMEX price and the Shanghai Gold Price Exchange. Okay, that's only going to get worse. That's only going to get. You don't understand. What does that mean? If gold is 1260 on spot, or 1240, whatever the hell it is, on spot at COMEX, and in China you're getting 1300, what the hell are you doing? Or you're going to be buying it for 1260 at the COMEX, and you're going to go sell it. You're going to demand physically. You're going to go sell it to the Shanghai exchange for 1300. You're going to make a profit on that arbitrage. Okay? So what is effectively happening is draining the snot out of COMEX, which doesn't even have that much gold to begin with, It's killing them. It's draining them dry. Okay, it's a
Right,
huge problem,
right.
man. And
Yeah,
and one thing further that most people don't realize: the biggest bank on the planet, ICBC, okay, which is a Chinese bank, okay, they sit as the head, as one of the heads in the Shanghai price fix, and they also happen to be one of the heads at the London price fix. So the London price fix also is going to be an arbitrage. They're going to be, it's unavoidable at this point, CJ. They're all going to be sucked into this.
and there's so much signaling that's going on. Even a few states that are aware and they have the right economic team in place to start, looking at some of these things. Some of these warning signs that at Rogue Money we've been talking about, for several years now, is the fact that you see states like Texas
Yep.
and Utah that they say, hey, you know what, federal government, we'd like to have our gold back.
Yeah, 1,000%, man.
We want our
1,000%.
gold back. And then also in recent news, also Arizona, their state house actually passed a bill to treat silver and gold as money,
Yep.
which kind of deals a blow to the Federal Reserve. In other words, you have to pay taxes in terms of any type of capital gains on your metals, silver and gold and so forth. Well, a Republican, Mark Furncham, has introduced a bill that would actually eliminate the state's capital gains taxes on income that's gained from precious metals.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is the only way for states and sovereigns to deleverage themselves from the mess that is going to happen with the dollar. I mean, the dollar's high. It's going to get even higher. I've said it 2 years ago. I was writing about this, that I coined the term monetary hypoxia. The dollar's going to get higher and higher and higher until the very velocity that's driving it, which is all artificial, by the way, is pulled, and then it just pops. It doesn't even crash; it just pops into the market. We're going to move into an era this year, going to next year. High stock market, high gold prices, high Bitcoin prices, high silver prices, high various other commodities and asset prices are going to be going up. It's going to be a march of a century, and those that are the fools will stay in the market. They're not utilizing the market, leveraging the market, then taking some of the profits and diversifying out into hard assets. They're just staying in paper, and when the paper goes pop, that's going to be a problem for them.
Absolutely.
So now they're saying that you got states moving against them, and also what's going on with the drug war, man? What's people starting to realize about that?
Well, and this is something that kind of concerns me, because we're starting to see a lot of big push in regards to the opioid and the heroin epidemic, and it's terrible right now that's going across the states, and
Yeah.
for these idiots, these politicians, to think that the best thing that they can do is to put more laws and more regulations in place.
Yeah.
It's just absurd. The drug war doesn't work. It never has. It never will.
Right.
So it kind of falls back to the law of supply and demand. And if you have the demand, you're always going to have somebody willing to supply. Now you take a look, and this is a perfect example where legalization efforts can help and can work. So with the legalization that we've seen in cannabis, and by the way, the drug war was over $1 trillion war on drugs, launched by Nixon back in 1971.
A war on drugs.
We're actually seeing now where the Mexican drug cartels, because there's so much cannabis in the marketplace, they no longer see it viable to traffic it across the United States. So, they're reporting, the U.S. Border Patrol is reporting a sharp drop off in cannabis captured between the United States and Mexico. The reduction of weed trafficking coincides with dozens of states embracing cannabis use for both medical and recreational purposes.
What? You mean that legalizing drugs works and it takes away the criminal underbelly? What?
So this is just another perfect example where legalization can help. It can help to create that environment where you take the people that are doing it illegally, where they find it no longer viable, and if you look at the price of cannabis, it's actually driving down. It's actually coming down, just for the fact that again that there's so many more states that are producing, so more companies that are coming out. So I think this is a great point where just example to that message be that the drug war does not work.
Of course, man, and they should just damn legalize everything. I mean, look, once they legalize it, you create its own private burgeoning market. The nefarious criminal demand goes away. The criminal underbelly goes away. And what happens is you actually wind up with a safer, cleaner, better product. Okay. The free market works, you libtards. It works everywhere it's applied. It's your stupid socialist crap that don't work nowhere. And the neocon drug war with these self-righteous, virtue signaling, far-right libtard. I don't know what they call it. I can't call them. I got to find out a new term for the retarded right. But again, legalize it, regulate it. I mean, Colorado made $1 billion about a year ago with the cannabis. $1 billion, man. It's freaking awesome. So the stuff works. And then here's the thing, 80 to 90% of all painkillers that pharmaceutical grade that hospitals and whatnot use, they're all opium based to begin with. So just freaking open it up already.
It is. And you see where the government, this is what really just kind of set me off, where they just appropriated probably close to like almost, I think, $500,000, maybe even $1 billion to therapies and training and educating regarding addiction and all these things. It doesn't work. You just can't throw money at it and fix the problem. You can't.
Yeah, exactly. And I like what this guy Amir Zendenham said. He said this in regards to cannabis. Very well said, and we'll close out with this. He said the economics of cannabis industry shows us that with healthy competition in the market, prices drop, quality rises, violence diminishes, and peaceful transactions increase. As constant new research emerges detailing the plant's benefits, the negative stigma of using cannabis, both medicinally and recreationally, is diminished. I mean, case in point, people are like, oh, you legalize marijuana in Colorado, there's going to be traffic accidents left and right. And then, boom, what happens? The lowest incidence of traffic. Why? Because everybody's freaking mellow. Everybody's not having road rage, man.
Right.
And,
well, you curb some of the alcohol addiction that's out there.
1,000%. Colorado, for example, has experienced an economic boom that has never been seen in the state. The biggest issue in Colorado today is what to do with the huge amounts of revenue and economic success the state has gained as a result of it. Oh my God, it's a terrible problem. Some of these broke ass states like you think they do something like that's what I'm saying. It's like forget it. I'm not even going to talk about California. Anyway, the only people hurt by continued societal acceptance of legalization of cannabis are the cartels and their friends who have flourished for decades as a result of drug prohibition. As legalization spreads across the U.S., the rest of the world like wildfire, I predict the industry will soon become one of the most dominant and beneficial industries humanity has ever seen, and I concur with that. And with that being said, CJ, anything else you want to cover, sir?
Tune in. Hump Day is today, and that is at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, excellent. Yeah, so tune into that. We're recording a great interview here scheduled today. B and I will talk about when we're going to be releasing that. So stay tuned. Lots of great things happening, and have a great day, and go out there and be epic.
That's it. We are over and out. Take it away, CJ.